Good morning, and welcome to the 2010 Forum with the candidates for the Sioux Falls City Council at-large positions. We have 7 candidates vying for the 2 different at-large positions this year. My name is Amy Scott Stoltz, and I'm the moderator for today's forum. I'm representing the League of Women Voters. Today's forum is being held at the Carnegie Town Hall, which is where the Sioux Falls City Council regularly meets. Our forum is sponsored by the Sioux Falls League of Women Voters, the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Sioux Falls. We appreciate their partnership and appreciate the participation of the candidates as well. Our forum is being broadcast live on March 27th, and if you're watching at this time, you can call with questions by dialing 367-8080. This number will be appearing on your screen during the program. If you're watching a rebroadcast, this option is not available. Today's forum is being taped for rebroadcast on CityLink Channel 16 and will also be available online at www.siouxfalls.org. We hope you'll encourage your family and neighbors to view the forum and become informed voters. Voting is April 13th, and you have until March 29th to register to vote if you haven't done so already. Now, today our candidates will have a 1-minute introduction, and as we present each question, they will each have 1 minute to respond to each question, and then there will be a 1-minute closing. We have timers up front here who will hold up a sign when you have 30 seconds remaining, as well as when your time is up, and I will be holding you to those time limits. There are no rebuttals. The candidates are sitting in the order they appear on the ballot, and we will use a round-robin format with Rex on my right here, starting with opening comments. And then Charles will be the first to respond to the first question, and Jesus will be the second to respond to the second question, or excuse me, the first to respond to the second question, and so on. And we are looking for audience questions. For those of you here in person, there are note cards for you to write questions on, and if you have a question, just hold it up in the air, and one of our runners will pick it up from you. If you're watching live, please call 367-8080 with your questions. Now, as we start, I ask that you turn your cell phones off, and if you need to hold a conversation, please do so outside of the room so as not to disturb the proceedings. We'll start with our introductions then with Rex.
Thank you very much. I want to first thank the League of Women Voters for holding this forum today. I've been around this city for, well, ever since I was a young whippersnapper, if you will. I remember back in the 50s and early 60s when we were trying to keep up with Sioux City and overloading or trying to overcome Sioux City, as they were 100,000 or coming up to 100,000, and we were about 60 and 70,000. And we couldn't do it. It seemed like, and some people in Sioux Falls did some forethinking and got us moving in the right direction. And that brought us forward. And I want to make sure that we continue that kind of thinking, that kind of progressive thinking in a fiscally responsible way. And I started thinking about this, and I wanted to make sure that we continued that kind of progression in a fiscally responsible way. And I wanted to pay back to people of Sioux Falls. So that's why I'm running, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Charles?
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for having us at this forum this morning. Good morning. My name is Charlie Gates. I'm 65 years old. I have a BA in economics from Dakota Wesleyan University. I have an MBA also. I'm running for City Council because I want to be in the position to set the policy for the future of Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is growing, it's critical, and I'm interested in being on City Council. I am not interested in being mayor. I see 3 major issues that are facing Sioux Falls in the immediate future. One is the poor condition of our infrastructure, as evidenced by our terrible streets. Second, we must ensure growth in the future, and that means water. And thirdly, we need more interoperability between the governmental agencies. And the first one, I think we need to revisit the issue of the second penny tax and devote all of it to maintaining our city streets and then establish a reserve for our city streets. Next, we must ensure that the water that we need from the Lewis and Clark project continues to come, because the federal government may cease to fund us.
Thank you. Jesus has not arrived at this point. If he does arrive, we'll let him join in wherever we are at. So then we'll move on to Clara.
Good morning. This is Clara Hart. I'm pleased to be here in front of you. And the reasons I'm running for City Council is for 3 reasons. I care about this city because it has been good to me. And I want the people who are coming to this city to have the same opportunities that I did. That means safe neighborhood, good, we can do well in public transportation, affordable housing. And when I came here from San Diego, California, I found this community to be a very giving community to people from other countries who speak different languages. I work in the Sioux Falls School District with people from 189 countries. You can imagine the struggles, the challenges, the opportunities that they see and face every day. I'm here to offer those opportunities. Thank you. I ask for your vote on April 13.
Clarence.
Thank you, and thank you for the League for having us here this morning. I am Clarence Questra, and I'm a retired educator, and I now have the time, the energy and experience and the leadership skills to represent the citizens of Sioux Falls on the City Council. As I mentioned, I'm a retired educator. I graduated from Sioux Falls College. My wife's a Washington High graduate. I live in central Sioux Falls. I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. My leadership goes back to when I was in the Marine Corps. I was a sergeant, and I served in the infantry in Vietnam. I was an educator in Garrettson. I served as the president of the City Council in Garrettson during the 80s. I moved up to the state legislature, and I served for 10 years as a state representative and senator. And now I basically do volunteer work. I serve on a number of commissions and boards, and I would like, again, to serve the people of Sioux Falls. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim.
I'm Jim Entman, and I am running for the position of City Council at large. I was born and raised in Sioux Falls. My wife Jill and I have raised our family here. We have 3 kids, 2 sons who work in the family business, and a 17-year-old daughter who is a junior at Lincoln High School. My brother and Lonnie and I have owned and operated J&L Harley Davidson for 35 years in the city of Sioux Falls, and we are very proud of the great business that we have created. I believe in quality schools, lifestyle opportunities for people of all income levels, and giving back to the community in which my family and I have lived and worked. As a business owner in Sioux Falls, I understand the challenges of operating a successful business. I am a strong advocate of trying to bring new business to Sioux Falls, encouraging and helping with the expansion of existing businesses, and making it easy for business owners to work with City Hall. I love Sioux Falls. The city has much to offer, and I will work hard to expand opportunities to make Sioux Falls a destination for visitors and a place where businesses and families want to relocate. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael.
Good morning, and thanks for the opportunity to participate in your candidate forum. My name is Michael Jones, and my wife Stephanie and I are lifelong residents of Sioux Falls. I'm a soldier. I've been fortunate to serve the people of South Dakota in the Army National Guard for the last 23 years. I served 7 years as an operations sergeant of an artillery battalion. In the last 3 years, I've been the administrator of a regional training institute located here in Sioux Falls. I want to continue my public service, and I'm running for an at-large position. I believe that if you want to represent the people, you need to understand their priorities and be willing to listen to them before you make decisions on important issues. I also realize that the citizens know better how to spend your money than anyone in city government. I pledge to be a councilman that will listen to the people and be fiscally responsible with the money that you provide to the city government for the city government to operate. I would appreciate your support on April 13th.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to our first question, and Charles will be responding to this first. The question is, how do you plan to improve the mayor-council partnership?
Well, I think the answer to that is simple. It's better communications between the mayor and the council. In the Sioux Falls city government, we're structured to have a strong mayor and a weaker city council. However, the city council is where all of the policies are made and formulated, and it is the mayor who breaks the ties if there is a tie between the 8 councilors when we are deciding on policy issues. So I think we need to have a very open line of communications between the council and the mayor and the department heads throughout the city so that what we wind up with is the best government we can have in the city of Sioux Falls. and that it'll run smoothly in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Clara?
I wouldn't define the relationship between the mayor and the city council as strong and weak, in that I think these two groups can work together. I don't think the mayor can be strong without having an effective councillor.
Thank you. Clarence?
I think one thing that has to occur is that prior to these meetings, we have to have the information. Most of the councilors, you have a package there, so we have understanding where the mayor's coming from, the department heads are coming from. We would get that in a package, and therefore we can respond to that. We shouldn't have to be tabling a lot of issues and delaying issues there. We should be informed of those issues, and we should be able to take action on those. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
In my business, I look at several guiding principles, and I believe that these principles can be applied to the relationships between the city council, the city employees, and of course to the citizens that we're here to serve. And that's trust, cooperation, communication, and respect. And I think that should be the key and the guiding principles in how we relate to all of those people that are out there today. We're here to serve the people, and it will be up to us to make the best decisions possible with the information that we're provided.
Thank you. Michael?
I believe that most situations can be handled with communication. Good communication between the citizens and the mayor and the city council. And the mayor and the city council, and I think they do now, and we need to continue to realize that we're all on the same team. We're all working toward the same goal ultimately, is to provide the best representation for the citizens of Sioux Falls. And I also realize that there's a different branches of government between the mayor and the city council, and at times we need to agree to disagree. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're passing judgment on a person's character, but as elected officials, it's all right to agree to disagree. You state your opinion, state what you would like, and then at the end of the day, you realize that you're all working on the same team, working toward the same goals. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rex?
Thank you. I agree with most everything everybody else has said. Sometimes you get to the end and there isn't much else to add, but I agree that communication is the key. Communication, trust, et cetera, you've got to work together. The council is the legislative branch of the city government. Strong mayor is the form of government that we've chosen, and it's a good form at this point, and it's working. We don't know who the new mayor is going to be and what kind of leadership he's going to bring, but when that is established, we all need to work together. It's just that simple. And if we don't, then there's going to be problems, and I pledge that whoever is the mayor, we will work with him. We just need to work with them to make sure that this city moves forward, continues to move forward in the best way that we possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is on mass transportation. What is your position on mass transportation, and what will you do to encourage ridership? We'll start with Clara.
That's the reason I'm running for public office. I work with several families who rely on public transportation, and they live outside the city area in downtown, and they don't have access to busing. And this has caused problems to truancy, and also parents are not able to go to work because they don't get to the bus stop. They have to walk at least 15 minutes to get to the nearest bus stop, like from the campus of Southeast Tech. So we have a problem here. When you take this mom to court for truancy issues, what kind of an excuse are you going to tell a judge? I believe that we can do better by providing access to those families who don't want to drive or can't afford to buy a car. And I think we can do better. I mean, the city, before it allows a developer to place a new building, has to have a plan in having those services available. Thank you.
Clarence.
I think the city of Sioux Falls is doing a good job moving forward with it. Some of you are probably familiar with Hawaii. They call it the bus. Everybody rides the bus. And that's their means of transportation. In rural South Dakota, that's oftentimes difficult. But I think by making the buses more attractive, they've made some changes on this over the years to make it more competitive for the business part of it. And I question all the subsidies that have to be made. When you get competition involved with that, I would really seriously look at that. But I think they need to expand it, because with the price of gas, it's going to continue to go up there. And if we get more people to ride the bus, I ride a bike oftentimes. And often they have those attachments where you can ride your bike, and you find many of those too. So they're headed in the right direction. I think we have to continue it.
Thank you. Jim?
I'm really not too familiar with the mass transportation system here in the city of Sioux Falls, but I do know that it does need to have a constant review going on as far as the needs and as far as the operation policies. Economics drives a lot of it, too. I mean, as gasoline prices go up, there's no doubt that there's going to be more people riding the bus. It's a case of pure economics for a lot of folks. We also need to be aware of the special needs folks that we have out there, too, and what their needs are from a public transportation standpoint. Again, I think it's something that I would like to get my teeth into. It's something that I will definitely look at, and I'm sure with the mayor's office and with the department that's involved, we should be able to take and make some improvements.
Thank you. Michael?
Like so many things, I think that the mass transportation needs to reflect the will of the people. Councilor Brown sat up here not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he rode the bus from where he lives on the east side of town to his work, and it took him an hour and a half to get there. That's not customer service. That's not taking care of the people. My dad constantly reminds me that we have these big buses driving around Sioux Falls, and they've only got a couple people on them. Maybe we need to consider having smaller buses, smaller routes, direct them toward the ridership. If you have one route that has a lot of folks that ride the bus on a continual basis, have a bigger bus. But maybe we need to break up the routes and have smaller routes. And in the smaller buses and even the van buses, I think, should be something Sioux Falls should consider. If we're driving around one big bus getting horrible gas mileage, maybe we could replace it with three small vans and make the routes smaller and more acceptable to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Rex?
Thank you. The one thing that hasn't been mentioned, I think, is education. We haven't done enough maybe with education on using the buses and making sure that people know that these buses are there, that they can be used, and that they probably should be used. As we get bigger and bigger and stretch out farther and farther, it's going to become more and more important for us to take care or to educate people so that they know that these buses are available and that they can be used to save not only money, energy, and help people get to work and back and forth to work. I agree with the smaller buses, looking at the routes that can be used, perhaps changing those routes to save some money, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's a great idea. But the education part, I think, would be very, very important. As we start growing more and more, it's going to be vitally important that we educate people on the use of the bus lines and that they become more user-friendly.
Thank you. Charles?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. As a retired Air Force officer, I have lived all over the world, and I've spent a lot of time in Europe where they have a very vibrant public transportation system. And I think what we need to do for Sioux Falls is maybe study some city over there to find out why they're successful. But with the system that we have right now, we need to find out ways to make it more user-friendly. Let's start looking at different groups. All of us are kind of considering that it's the working poor who are riding the buses, but what about the people who are riding the bus because it's ecologically correct? Let's find a way to do that. How about a partnership with businesses? I know there are businesses all over the city that would love to have a bus stop in front of their business. If they could get that bus stop, they may be willing to pay a stipend to the city to ensure that that bus comes by their business. And if that works, then we can expand our routes in a cost-effective manner to make sure that it works for everybody. I think that is the way we're going to do it.
Thank you. Our next question is on city planning. What will you do to improve the maligned reputation of the Pettigrew Heights Central District? And we are going to start that with Clarence.
Well, thank you. This has been in the news for some time, and I take that route my way to downtown Sioux Falls every day. And we oftentimes think of the area as dilapidated homes, and then, of course, they've tore some of those down, most of them down, and we're looking for some affordable housing in that area. The crime rate also, however, I think the Sioux Falls Police Department, they've saturated that area, and response time is less than 2 minutes to that area. I think what we have to do, they're going to have to put some money into that area to get affordable housing. That's the big thing. There's some nice areas in there, but you have to diversify it. It can't be a certain culture that's living in that area. We have to open up to other business as well, but I think it does have the future, and it's a historic site also, and we want to continue that.
Thank you. Jim?
Growing up in Sioux Falls, I lived up in the north end of Sioux Falls, and I have been personally very pleased with what the city has done as far as trying to improve the Pettigrew Heights area and the initiatives that they've taken there. I do believe that there is one key thing that is very important for all of us in the city of Sioux Falls, and that is jobs. And I think if people can get good jobs, good paying jobs, they have a lot more respect for what they own and what they're doing. And of course, the good affordable housing that we can afford is very key with this too. I think if people have good jobs, there's a lot that they can do. They're going to be spend more money. They're going to take a lot more pride in the neighborhoods that they're in. And I actually think the city should be commended with understanding the problems that have happened up there and with trying to correct those problems. It takes time. I think we're on the right track, and I would like to be part of continuing that initiative.
Thank you. Michael?
I think the Pettigrew Heights is a success story for the city. What we can learn from that is if you go into an area town, you communicate with the citizens, and you work together toward a common goal of making that a better environment for citizens to live in. I mean, I think that's success. I've spoken before that one of my concerns with growth in Sioux Falls, people constantly talk growth. We need to watch and be very cognizant of the new developments that we're building on the edge of town, so we don't develop blighted areas within the community where people don't want to live, where it's a bad place to live. So the city, in my opinion, needs to go into areas that they have concern with, get the citizens together, talk with them, and then develop together with citizen input a plan to make the area better. You can do simple things like when they put the trash out on the curb and they haul it away to the dump. That's a success story. That's stuff we should be working. It's low cost, high return. Thank you.
Thank you. Rex?
Thank you. The Pettigrew Heights Museum, again, is a success story for the city of Sioux Falls. It's a place where was really run down and crime was pretty high, and now we're seeing it not be that way, and I think it's a good success story for the city, again, much like the Loop was when that happened. But there's still work to be done. Still work to be done down there. We need to incentivize the landlords and the homeowners down there so that they can continue to build on that success and make it even better for the people down there. We need to watch where people move, and so we don't ever get into that situation again, if at all possible, and help the people that are there now make their lives better through jobs, and get the jobs back in Sioux Falls so that people can make a decent living, and that kind of thing hopefully will not happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles?
Well, I think we need to approach the Pettigrew Heights problem on the same way that we handled the downtown Sioux Falls problem. We got the National Historic Trust involved. We hired a downtown manager, and we have turned our downtown, which was really very run down, into a true model. Your downtown area is the heart of your city, and we have turned our heart around. It is now a healthy heart, and it is an attractive heart to come visit. We need to expand that health outward to Pettigrew Heights. On the buildings that we can retain that have a historical significance, which are attractive, we ought to maintain. For those that are not, let's knock them down. Find ways to encourage people to come in with their own money and build something that is a pleasing and a benefit to the neighborhood, and use private money and a little bit of government encouragement as opposed to incentives financially to make that work. If we can get the Pettigrew Heights area nice, it will continue to expand, and our city will always be improving.
Thank you. Clara?
There are several potentials for that neighborhood. Personally, I work in that neighborhood. I'm based at Axtell Park, and most of what I do is go to home visits in those neighborhoods. I used to go there every day. So what I did the past 2 years is make sure I did not go in those neighborhoods after 3:30 because it was scary. But the steps that the city took to clean up the neighborhood are safe for me, safe for everybody else, and safe for the neighborhood. And in working with those families, they tell me that they see opportunities to live in the neighborhood and encourage and help make it be what it used to be way back when as an historic site. And it is a safe neighborhood, and it's a good family area, and I hope the city continues to empower the neighborhood and everybody else in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is regarding one of the amendments that will be on the ballot. It's Amendment A, which is a change to the city charter that clarifies that the mayor will determine the appropriate format of the annual budget submission to the city council, and that the council will have the opportunity to ask questions regarding the budget. And the question is, does this give more power to the mayor and less to the council? And how do you feel about this amendment? And we will start with Jim.
I think the changes were a clarification of the charter itself. I believe it is the responsibility of the mayor to present a budget to the city council. And in the same breath, we on the city council, or those that serve on the city council, need to have the opportunity to quiz the department heads and the mayor as far as what that budget entails, how they reach the numbers that they have. Budgeting is very important. I do believe that we need to be fiscally responsible to our citizens. I also believe that we need, on the city council, to be somewhat informed. As an example, we all know last year that our economy was having some problems, right? If people would have got on the telephone and called the retailers out there, they would have realized that our sales were down significantly. The budget should not have had an increase built in of 4%. It should have been, at best, a flat budget based on what was happening in our community. The presentation on the part of in the format, I think, that he presents it, that should be up to the mayor, but we should definitely have the abilities to see it and talk.
Thank you. Michael?
In regard to the amendment, I do support it. However, I don't approach it with the premise that it has to do with power. I look at the folks that are running for mayor, and I staunchly believe that all of those folks, regardless of who gets elected mayor, is going to be working with the council toward a common direction, and that's for what's best with the citizens. I think that, like one of my other answers, when it comes to the budget, it has to do with communication. Of course, the mayor has to formulate the budget and present it, because you can't, the budget can't be a collective effort with the whole entire city council and the mayor. It's his responsibility, but we need a mayor that's going to be flexible, it's going to be willing to listen to different ideas from the council when the council provides input on changes that they would like, changes that they would like the mayor to consider. And I think, again, it just comes down to communication. It's not about power. It's about a mayor and a city council working toward a common goal, and that's taking care of the citizens.
Thank you. Rex?
Yeah, I would agree. I would support the amendment on A, and I just got it right here, and it says clarify that the mayor will determine the appropriate form or format of the annual budget submission. All he's doing is making a format, and that the council still has to vote on it. It's a separation of power, and a very simple thing like that. And it also specifies that the council will then be able to get any information it wants to help us, or the council, make a decision on whether or not that budget should be passed. I see no problem with that because the council is the one that has to vote on that budget and make sure that it's going to be the budget that the city lives with for the next year. So I see no problem with that whatsoever. And they do have to work together and make sure that that budget is the kind that we're going to live with.
Thank you. Charles?
I also support the changing of the charter on that. In the past, there's been a problem with city council members discussing city business with department heads, and the line of communication was from the council member to the mayor to the department head. The department head would then report back to the mayor, and then the mayor would report to the city council member what he wanted them to know. And that has not been the case over the last few years, but I think a more open line of communication between the council members and the department heads explaining why the budget is the way it is would make it a lot easier for the city council then to sit down and make their judgments on how to best structure the budget for the mayor in the future. But the mayor is primarily the budgeting officer. He is the man that sets it. It is his purview. It is his job.
Thank you. Clara?
I support the charter as revised. However, I would really like to have that open communication between the councillors and the mayors. And I think that's important, like most of you said, that open communication and clearance of what we should do in terms of budgeting issues is important, but I support the charter revision as stated, as interpreted.
Thank you. Clarence?
Thank you. I strongly support the amendment. It is a good amendment, and I hope it passes. The state government has operated that for years with the governor, and all legislators, they're entitled to go to their appropriations and get involved in that, even though they're not in the committee. They have input on that. And I think that the citizens of Sioux Falls, when you talk about capital improvement plan program that they take an interest in that, but it has to be in the general budget also. So as a council person, I want to listen to those people there. I want to find out more about whether it be out-of-state contracts, consultants, and everything. I think it is good, and hopefully it will pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is on the relationship with the county. What leadership will you bring to forge partnerships more and better with both Lincoln and Minnehaha counties? And we are starting that with Michael.
Again, I think that whether it be Lincoln County or Minnehaha County or the city council, we all need to realize that collectively we're working toward what's best for the city of Sioux Falls and the citizens that live there. Excuse me. What would I do best for leadership? Sometimes it's better to sit back and let the mayor take the lead, and then build off of his agenda or his plans. Really, I think that the joint meeting between the city council and the Minnehaha County that they do currently hold, I think is good. But we need to realize that the city council and the Minnehaha County both have their own agendas. They're both clearly defined what they're responsible for, and we need to make sure that as the city council, we don't swerve off our path and start getting into somebody else's responsibility. I think that would only cause problems, probably hard feelings, and some discontent. Thank you.
Thank you. Rex?
This is really important, I think, because we are growing in the city of Sioux Falls into Lincoln County and in other jurisdictions, for instance, schools also. I took the initiative to last Friday ride with the police department. Rode until 2 o'clock in the morning. There wasn't much going on in Sioux Falls, but I did find out that we are cooperating extensively with the Minnehaha County and Lincoln County Sheriff's Department. The law enforcement building down there is one of the examples, and they assure me that they are working very, very diligently in cooperation with that. The jail is one of the other things that we're working on, and we're doing that kind of thing now, and we continue to do that. They have a good relationship with the other jurisdictions, and I think we need to continue to do that to save money whenever possible, and to continue that kind of cooperation, because it only makes sense to do that kind of thing when we have the an ability to make save some money along the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles?
Well, I hate to say it, but Mr. Jones is just completely off base on his answer to that. We already have an outstanding amount of interoperability between the Lincoln County government, the Minnehaha County government, the Sioux Falls City Council, the mayor's office, and the school board. They not only get together once a month here for formal business, but once a month they also get together in sort of an informal ad hoc meeting. I've sat in on some of these meetings, and some of the best conversations on how we can work together as different governments have come from those meetings. Ways to save money on road construction where it involves all three entities have been brought up and agreed to. The other one that I really like is the public safety building that we have. We started out, it was going to be the Sioux Falls Police and the Sheriff's Office. Well, since then it has expanded. We now have the State Bureau of Investigation and the DEA in there. We now get national attention for our local issues, and we get local attention to national issues, and it's a wonderful working relationship.
Thank you. Clara?
I too have sat in one of those joint meetings, and I've been very, very impressed, because when I first came to this city, there was just a huge separation between those two counties. I live in Lincoln County, I work in Minnehaha County, and I see great partnership and great things happening in city government on both sides, and I think we should continue with those efforts.
Thank you. Clarence?
I think the relationship is good. Can it be improved? Of course it can. I've been involved with comprehensive zoning for a number of years, and I think that is very important. You're definitely going to get the counties involved with the municipalities, such as Sioux Falls plays a key part in that. And when we talk about, we're more like Metro now, when we deal with law enforcement, countywide law enforcement, et cetera, and the first responders, Minnehaha Rescue and all these are things that are working together. And the other area that they probably are not in agreement right now is probably the homeless issue. That seems to be in question, in limbo, how they're going to handle that. But other than that, I think they're doing a good job. The timing of the meetings are probably not as great as they should be, because oftentimes they seem to be rushed to get things done. I think the input from the citizens is probably not always there, but I would work to improve that.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, with Sioux Falls being the largest city in both counties, there's no doubt that it is exceptionally important that the city communicate with the county powers that be. And I think that for the most part they're doing an excellent job, especially with the economic conditions that we have today. It's extremely important that we look at ways of sharing services, and I think that they continue to work to do that, and I believe that they're doing a good job. We got to remember that all of us up here have day jobs too. Not only have we committed ourselves to serve the people in our respective communities, but we also have jobs, most of us do, out there that we need in order to provide for our families too. And I think that the commissioners of the respective counties, as well as the councilors and the city officials, those of us that are wanting to participate in this form of government, should be commended for what they want to do. And I do believe that they have they only have good thoughts for the communities that we live in, and I want to be part of that.
Thank you. Our next question is the one that we all knew would be coming. Do you support an event center? How should we pay for one, and where should it be located? We'll start with Rex.
That's 3 questions. Do I get 3 minutes? I do support the event center. I support the task force that came out. I think it's critical to the size or to Sioux Falls and how we go forward. I think it's very important. Where it is, I think probably out at the arena site is probably the best site at this point. Although the task force said that any city under a million, the people that they worked with under a million, it really doesn't make any difference. So I do support it. I think it's very important for the growth of Sioux Falls. $50 million or $52 million of growth of sales in the city of Sioux Falls is a tremendous asset to what's going on, and I think it's highly important that we do it. Funding it, we just got to come up with a way. Either we go back to the legislator next year, or we find a good way so that people are not hurt. If it's a funding on the groceries, on food, we've got to find a way around that, and that is good for everybody.
Thank you. And Charles?
Well, where we place the event center is, I'm not absolutely sure. In a perfect world, I think it should be downtown. It would be an addition to the heart of our city. It would lend a lot of vibrance to us. It would create more businesses downtown, and it would certainly benefit the businesses that are here. But I think it doesn't really matter as much where it is as that we actually get the job done. And we need to understand that whether you ever use that event center or not, if you live in Sioux Falls, you are going to financially benefit from the fact that that event center is here. Because as the dollars are brought into the event center, they filter out. I believe the last time I heard, the number was for every dollar that gets brought into the community from outside, it rolls over 11 times. It does not matter what you do in Sioux Falls. If we have an event center, you will either directly or indirectly financially benefit from it being there. And so how we finance it, I think we need to be pretty creative, but we need to get it done now.
Thank you. Clara?
Thank you. My question and concerns about the event center, it has always been the source of funding. How is it going to be funded? And I've met with a few people who would rather have it downtown instead of the arena area. There are no questions that there are going to be job opportunities provided if it's built. But I strongly question the source of funding. If anyone can explain to me how that is going to be done, I'll be more than willing to listen.
Thank you. Clarence?
Thank you. Number one, I think they should go forward with this. Have to go back to the state legislature, enabling legislation for that they can vote on this. 92 municipalities are in favor. I think it will be doubled next year. And what this does, enabling legislation, it gets the communities. They're the ones that are going to vote on this. And Sioux Falls, of all people, we have the home rule charter here. You don't want the people in Pierre making those decisions. It should be a local one. And number two, put this together. Hopefully they can get partners and see what the final package is going to be. They may have to give rebates for tax for some of those people there, but so they know what they're voting on. And finally, is everybody going to use the arenas and event centers? They do now, many people. This last week, I posted colors for a Storm football game here. They had the all-school orchestra and had all the parents, grandparents. And there's use for these event centers. And I think we have to go forward with it. And I think it will also be great for the employment of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, I think if anybody knows, I think if you know me, you know that I've been involved with the Event Center Task Force over the number of years. I was involved with the 2004, 2005, and I actually sat on the site selection committee and was chairman of that committee. I must commend the mayor for pulling together groups of citizens to work on this issue, both in the 2004, 2005, and in the current task force too. They did spend a lot of time. We did take a lot of testimony from the citizens out there. We spent an awful lot of time. I was in favor of the local option. I thought the local option gave the citizens of Sioux Falls an opportunity to make the decision themselves if that's the funding source that they wanted to use. We didn't get that opportunity. We weren't given that opportunity. Now we need to go forward with it, but we do need to look at partnerships with the business community and with the local governments. What is going to be best? We need to look at more options. We spent a lot of time doing it, but I think we got to go back to the drawing board and continue with the process. I think it's very important for our communities.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to answer the questions a little bit out of order. The event center, do I support it? Sure. I think we should listen to the paid consultant that provided a study for the city and build it for 12,000 seats, max. That's what they recommended. The location, I do agree with the event center task force. I think out at the arena site makes sense. I think there's a lot of disagreement about destroying Howard Wood or moving it. And then we get to the important issue, the pay. I don't think those that the older folks in town, the working poor, should have to pay for it. I think there's a terrific opportunity with the corporate funding. You know, the study that the CSL has, they have the Tyson Center, the Quest Center, the American Bank Center, the Budweiser Center, you know, the Reich Center. Those are all the comparable ones that the consultant looked at, and there has to be something to this corporate funding. It needs to have private funding, and then last but not least, the users that utilize it need to pay for it. And it's my opportunity to disagree with Charles, because when I knock on doors, I have people.
Thank you. Go on to the next question, which is on homelessness. Homelessness is a big issue in the city. How would you work for the homeless? And we're starting with Charles.
Well, I think the city needs to work with the organizations that are already in the business of helping our homeless and help to facilitate their operations. I don't know if we should be supporting them with tax dollars, but in every other way, we certainly should be supporting them, getting them facilities if we have empty buildings, or if we can donate a building or land or something like that. We certainly should be helping them. It is a really, really big problem. It's not as big a problem in Sioux Falls as some places. Our hardcore homeless are a fairly limited number, but we have an awful lot of people who are temporarily homeless or living in their cars. We need to support the organizations that are already dealing with them in the best way we can, maybe help them to come together as one cohesive group so that it can be more effectively handled. Thank you.
Thank you. Clara?
We currently have 950 kids who are homeless, according to the school district data. And I think it's our business to make sure that this problem is taken care of, and creating those plans that have been discussed, putting those homeless people in housing until they find employment. I think it's a problem. We cannot ignore that. As far as having kids, not having a place to stay, I think we cannot ignore that and say it's not our problem. It is our problem, and I think we need to work together with those entities that are already doing the business of making sure that these families will have a place to stay, and continue to empower them. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarence.
And thank you. I think we're working in the right direction. I've been with the Sioux Empire Homeless Coalition for approximately 10 years. And one area that I'd like to touch on is the homeless veterans. You can only do so much. And I've really geared my energies towards that. Because I'm a veteran, I'm also a state official on that. And for the past 10 years also, I managed to head up with the Sioux Falls Homeless Veterans Stand Down. It used to be at Nelson Park. We moved to Salvation Army. And this last year, we had over 238 people there. And now we're rather large. We're probably going to go to the Culture Center down in Sioux Falls. But you get an idea what the homeless is. And through the VA, we're helping many of those people through the per diem, and also we have a voucher system for them. And now working with the county also, and First Home, Safe Home, and these other projects there, we're on the right direction. Now we're dealing with funding and services. But I think, and I commend the county for stepping forward on that, and I think the city has to get more involved also. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim.
I think the city and the school have both done a very good job of identifying what our homeless needs are in our communities. But I think what it all boils down to is jobs, quite honestly. I think the city needs to work extremely hard to look at the ways that we're going to create more jobs and better paying jobs. Because it is the people, through the taxes that they pay and the contributions and the donations that we make to organizations like our churches and the different charities and nonprofits out there, that are able to take care of those people that are truly in need. Me as a business person, all I know what to do is run and operate my business the best way possible. I donate thousands of dollars to charities because I'm able to make a profit. My employees are able to do the same thing because they've got good jobs and are making good wages. And so we need to ensure that the jobs are there. Also the unemployed, I mean the people that are in need, if they have good jobs, they're going to be able to give back to this community too. I think job creation is essential.
Thank you. Michael?
I think it's somewhat ironic that we go from the event center to the homeless. Personally, I think that if we have one person, one family, one veteran in this community that's homeless, we have a lot of room for improvement. What I would do is, I think that the city needs to support the county initiatives. It's their responsibility, and I think the current city council has done a good job doing that. And it doesn't just mean with finances. It means using the assets available to the city to help work toward a solution. The Veteran Stand Down, being in the National Guard, we've supported that just about every year. But it needs to be more than a one-day event. It needs to have a vision. It needs to have a goal of how to fix the homeless solution. I don't know the answer, but I know just putting money toward a solution isn't going to solve the problem. It needs to have a unified plan and be working toward a goal to not have anyone homeless in this community, regardless of the reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Rex?
I don't like to see the homeless suffer any more than anyone else. I think it's a horrible, horrible thing. But we don't have a good solution right now. The county and city have worked on this problem for a number of years now, and the county came up with a solution, and the city was unable to support it at the last minute. I don't know exactly what the reason was on that. There were some funding issues, et cetera. I think we need to work toward that solution. I wonder, though, if instead of building a new building, if one of the buildings downtown that is vacant couldn't be used for that type of thing and save a little money along the way. Maybe that's been looked at already. It could have been. However, I know that there's the chronic homeless, which are the ones that need to be taken care of first, because those are the people that really cost money. And if we can take care of them and train them for jobs, That will help tremendously in budget issues. Secondly, I agree with Jim that if we can get this economy turned around and bring jobs back in, that will help everybody.
Thank you. Our next question is, do you support stronger city regulation and licensing of services? The examples given here are daycare centers and dog grooming. And we will start with Clara.
Can you repeat the question?
Certainly. Do you support stronger city regulation and licensing of services?
What was the other point you made?
The two examples given were daycare centers and dog grooming.
Dog grooming. All right. I think you can define regulations in different ways. I've heard several people say regulations are bad things, is a bad deal, and others are saying they're necessary because when there are regulations, people are likely to be held accountable. When there are no regulations, people can do almost anything. So I believe that this strong regulation is not the word I would use, but there need to be regulations for daycare and dog grooming business. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarence.
I believe in proper zoning, but whether do we need more regulations now, I would say no. What we have to do is enforce probably what we have. I see problems if you're going to pour a sidewalk there. 3 engineer assistants have to show up. You put in a fireplace and you have 3 or 4 inspectors that have to put their little tag on there, and you're waiting for all this to get done. That could be coordinated much better. So before we go on, same way with your daycare center, before we go on, let's enforce what we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
I believe the state and the city have probably set some pretty good guidelines when it comes to daycares, and I think that we should follow through with those. I'm not really quite familiar with the dog grooming business, so I can't really address that too well right now. But what I do know is that we do need to take and review our city regulations and our ordinances and make sure that it is simple to do business with City Hall. We have to keep it simple. The rules and regulations need to make sense. If we don't have the answers for those, the city folks, those in the department, should get the answers for us. Those folks are working for us, and we need to make sure that it is easy and simple for all of us, businesses with the citizens, to do business with City Hall. So do I encourage stronger regulations? Probably not. I think we just need to be smarter.
Thank you. Michael?
The question was, do I support stronger zoning and licensing? Excuse me. No. I think the city has plenty of zoning, plenty of licensing requirements, and I agree that you need to enforce them. Excuse me. But if there's a need brought forward for public safety, yeah, then of course the city council needs to address that. But they also need to realize that with every regulation, every additional rule that you impose upon a business or a citizen is probably going to cost money. Money that's going to go back to is going to be passed on to the customer. And I think we just need, there's a fine line between public safety and business interference. I don't know where that line is, and it's probably a moving line. But I agree we need to enforce the regulations we have, but sometimes the city overreaches its bounds, and it reflects poorly on the city, it reflects poorly on the citizens, and I think we need to stick with what we have unless the need is brought forward for public safety generally to address additional regulations.
Thank you. Rex?
Thank you. I would agree that additional regulations sometimes are needed for public safety reasons. I've talked to a number of people in the community, and sometimes they say that it's very hard to do business with City Hall. Forms here, forms there, everywhere. And as has been mentioned, it just drives the cost of doing business up, and you and I all know when the cost of doing business goes up, it's not the business that pays for it, it's you and I. And so if we can do that without driving up the cost of business, I would be for that. I think that public safety is the reason that we have those regulations there, and that's the only reason that we need to have that. Otherwise, let's keep the regulations down as much as possible and make it easy and friendly to do business with the City of Sioux Falls.
Thank you. Charles?
Well, I agree that we probably have plenty of regulations already. I think we need to enforce the regulations on child care, dog grooming I don't know much about. My dog gets groomed in a sink in the laundry room at our house, so I imagine most other dogs do too. I walk by Jim's house, his probably just gets carried into the shower under his arm. But what I do think we need to do is pay more attention to the services the city is provided and the businesses that provide it. A current issue that was just before the city council was wheelchair transport. The two owners of the wheelchair transport companies were in here trying to get their rates adjusted. Nothing was decided. It did not benefit the people who are in the wheelchairs. It did not benefit the businessmen. The issue will have to come back up again. It will have to be reconsidered. Maybe we need to reduce the amount of regulation we have and allow competition to deal with the issue. Thank you.
Okay, our next question is on job creation, and what is the City Council's role in job creation in Sioux Falls? And we'll start with Clarence.
Oh, thank you. This question was brought up before, and I would have to say we have to bring in some type of industry, diversify. Currently, we do a good job with the finances that we have, the industry. The healthcare, we know that. Those are good jobs. Those are good paying jobs. But I think much of this is going to depend upon who the new mayor is, to have the skills to attract these people, to go out and to lobby for this type of the jobs to come to Sioux Falls. Our neighbor to the east, Minnesota, their tax-free zones that they have, trying to get people to come to their area to build. And as a result, with workman's comp laws and such, we can change ours so the people moved over here to South Dakota. So there's just some things that the Sioux Falls City can lead on that, and the state can help also, but I think it's going to come from the mayor, and as a councilperson, I plan to work with them on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
Well, job creation is really, as you've heard me say, is what it's all about. Now, what can we do as a city council to encourage job creation? First of all, we do need to make it easy to do business with City Hall. The businesses that are out there, anybody that comes to City Hall with a business idea or opportunity, in their mind, that's the best thing that's out there because they've had a lot of thought in there, whether they're a small business or a large business. We need to encourage that. We also need to work with those folks to make sure that they can get through the permitting processes, whatever is needed in order to bring that business to town. We have to work with existing businesses in this town to ensure that they've got what they need, whether it's the property, like our Development Foundation does, whether it's the property, reasonably priced property, whatever. Also, we need to have an educated workforce out there so that these businesses see what we have and they want to come to Sioux Falls. A prime example is look at that medicine business here in Sioux Falls, the medical business. Look at the growth we're going to see in research going into the future. I think it's going to drive some great paying jobs. And it is the mayor's responsibility too.
Thank you. Michael?
I believe that the mayor is the voice of the city. It's his responsibility, and as a councilman, we need to support the mayor in that endeavor. And I think it comes back to communication. If one of the councilmen has an idea, don't keep it to yourself. Don't keep it a secret. Share it with the mayor so the entire council and the mayor can be moving in a unified direction. And Jim touched on something, too, that instead of worrying about bringing more businesses to town and bringing more people to town, we need to make a concerted effort as a city leadership body to treat the people that are here and to treat the businesses that are here well. Give them a reason to want to stay here, whether it be the financial environment, whether it be the ease of working with the city on city issues. It needs to get back to being able to be communicated from the city leadership through the mayor, and then treating the businesses that work here and are here, treating them well and giving them a reason to stay here.
Thank you. Rex?
This is one that I just love because I think that every council member needs to be the biggest cheerleader of Sioux Falls that they possibly can be, as I've been for a long time. I've helped bring regional soccer tournaments to Sioux Falls. I've helped bring other things to Sioux Falls, and I can't tell you how many times I've talked about Sioux Falls and what a great city it is when I've been out of this town. I think this is the best place in the world to live, and I will continue to do that. The mayor obviously has to be the point man, has to be the cheerleader, and go out and do that. But when we bring people into Sioux Falls, they know what kind of great city this is, and we're continue to do that. When we bring these people in to create jobs, to businesses, to bring businesses in here, they know where we're at and they know what kind of great city it is, and they will be here. I wish I had a little bit more time. I tell you a story about the medical profession, and when these doctors come, if they can get them to come into Sioux Falls, they like it and they stay. The trouble is getting them to come. I'll go out and cheerlead for us so that we can get them here.
Thank you, Charles.
Well, thank you very much. 20-some-odd years ago, I served on Governor Mickelson's Interstate Airline Commission, and we studied the idea of having an intrastate airline so that we could move people around the inside of the state. Well, something occurred to me the other night when we were after the CVB forum, when they talked about the cost of tickets getting into Sioux Falls. What if we took our central location here in the middle of the United States and turned Sioux Falls International Airport into an international cargo airport? A cargo airplane flying into Chicago would only need 45 more minutes airtime to get to Sioux Falls. If we could develop a distributing system, which we already have, we've got I-90 and I-29, if we can bring those cargo airplanes in from, instead of landing on the coast, come all the way into Sioux Falls and use this as a central distribution point, we will create jobs, we will create air traffic, we will drive down the cost of tickets, and we will benefit the whole city. And that is kind of what I think we need to be looking at in the future.
Thank you. Clara.
This proposal has been made by some of the members here before, but we always talk about bringing people in from other parts for jobs. Why can't we look at the people that are already here? Because we have a lot of young people move out of the state because they can't find decent jobs in this city. My job will be to work with the mayor to encourage him to see what we have, what kind of expertise or skills and talents that we have here, instead of always looking at other people who may come here to work in the health sector, airline sector, or other areas. I think we need to empower our local community and young people to stay here and take on decent jobs and good paying decent jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is on the consolidation of city service offices. Where should the city consolidate the location of many departments that are now scattered around the city? And we will start with Jim.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm really not sure what the city needs are as far as additional space at this time. I haven't had the opportunity to be provided with that information about what the respective departments need for space, so I really can't speak to it very well. I do know that I would like to know and have a survey of what the city departments need. I would also like to take and look at where that location to best serve the people should be. For example, the Parks Department probably doesn't need to be in a big city hall building. You know, they need to be out in proximity to the different parks so they have easy access to the parks that they're at. Sioux Falls Police, I think we all know where they're going to be, and I think with their cooperation with the county, they've got a great facility. So I'd like to learn more about it, and with that information that the department heads and the city would give us, I'd be here to make those decisions.
Thank you. Michael?
I look at the consolidation of city services kind of, I'm a military person. In a military command structure, a leader or commander always works better when his staff is immediately available to him. And so I think that it does make a lot of sense to have the department heads very close to the mayor in one building. When it comes to actually moving the whole departments, I mean, we would have to take input from the department heads to develop that, to see if it's even reasonable. It all comes down to customer service to the customer. If it's better for the customer and the city's going to be able to provide a better service to the citizen, then yeah, maybe we should look at consolidation. But the one thing with consolidation is I don't think we should build a new building. We should have a building here in town, retrofit, and if we move departments, as a city, we need to sell the buildings that they vacate. Don't keep those buildings and just use them as a storage facility. If we have a reason to move buildings or move departments for customer service, then we need to sell the buildings that vacate.
Thank you. Rex?
Consolidation sounds good, and I think in some situations you can probably do that with finance and some of those departments. It's probably good to have those there, but when you look at parks and police and fire, I visited the fire department yesterday and talked to Don Hill, Chief Don Hill, and he needs to be with his people, not only to be there to supervise, but also to for morale purposes. They need to have their chief with them. And so some of those departments need to be out with their people. And so consolidating everything just to be there sometimes doesn't make sense, because especially with the communication skills and the communication things that are available right now, you can do with email and voicemail and all that kind of stuff. So I would agree that we could consolidate some, but I don't want to do it where it costs a lot of money right now either. So let's take a look at it, study it, and if we can get something done, fine. Otherwise, let's go with what we've got and look into the future.
Thank you. Charles?
I agree that a certain level of consolidation in the administrative staff probably makes sense, but as far as department heads being in the City Hall where they are immediately accessible to the mayor, I don't find that a useful one. When I was in the Air Force, I was the officer in charge of a life support shop. I had 45 people working for me in my shop. I had a $30 million budget, and I had people spread over 3 continents. When I needed to talk to my boss, I picked up the phone. More often, when he needed to talk to me, he picked up the phone. I always answered. That was how we got our communications in. But I think the department heads need to be with their people. I had 45 people under me. Most of them were NCOs. And I needed to be able to walk out, talk to them directly, and then they had to talk to the airmen under them. I think that's how we're going to have to keep the city structured. Yeah, a certain amount of administrative staff can be in one building, but our department heads, they need to be out with their people where they can supervise.
Thank you. Clara?
Consolidation can be both beneficial and also a negative. But if it has to do with cost saving, I'm in favor of that. I currently work in a building where most of our supervisors are far away from the building. So it's kind of a little bit difficult to get your concerns around. So we have to look at the cost savings. If the cost it saves money, I'm for it. But if it doesn't, I won't support that measure.
Thank you. Clarence?
Thank you. This is the one issue I think I'd put on the back burner for a while, either put it on hold. With the economic downturn, things are going to have to change. I don't think we want to rush in and have consultants look at the assessments that we need or anything like that. There are maybe other buildings that would come available. I think we can learn from the county, also the administrative building that they have there. And of course, that's a great facility, but they found also the number one concern people have when they go there, other than the service, is the parking. And this is very important. Wherever you're going to have the place, you got to have the people so they can get in and out and parking as well. But for this time, I would just wait and see. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, is city planning heading in the right direction regarding growth and development? Is there a point when the city becomes too big? We'll start that with Michael.
Are they headed in the right direction? I sure think so. When you come down here on a Monday night and you listen to the presentation made by the planning department, it seems like it's a unified effort in their department. It seems like they communicate well with the council, with the mayor. And yeah, I do think that they're moving in the right direction. As far as the city being too big, I sure think so. We need to stay cognizant of providing the essentials of city government, water, sewer, fire, police, to the citizens that we have, and focus on the citizens that we have. And is growth good? Sure. But at some point in time, growth can have diminishing returns. And I don't know where that would be, but again, it all goes back to providing the essential government services to the people that are currently in the community. And then if we have room for growth, yeah, I think there's an opportunity there. But I still think it goes back to being customer service and taking care of the citizens that we currently have in Sioux Falls.
Thank you. Rex?
Thank you again. The city planning department seems to me to be doing a good job. I've seen their plans for the next 10, 15, and 25 years, and it is amazing to see how this city is going to grow. It is just phenomenal, and I'm very happy to see it grow. I would like to see it stay a 60 or 70,000 population city where we can do anything we want, kind of, and it's a small town still. But folks, it's not going to happen. It just flat out isn't going to happen. You know why? It's because of you, the good people of Sioux Falls, and the people like you, where people want to come to this city and grow and be part of it. And so we don't have a choice of making it retain its smallness, shall we say. So we have to grow with it. We have to do the things that make it a better place to live and to become part of that type of a community that we are cheerleaders for and make it better all the way along. And that's what I want to be able to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles?
We are either going to grow or we are going to die. There's no two ways about it. This city is going to grow. We are going to improve, but our competition, just like the little towns in South Dakota that aren't there anymore, our competition is Sioux City, our competition is Fargo, and to a secondary extent, our competition is actually Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska. We must grow. I'm really pleased with the way the Planning Commission has been working to look into the future. I mean, they've got this great vision of where things are going. A perfect example is their regionalized wastewater treatment plant. They want to bring everybody within 10 miles into the same wastewater treatment plant that is owned by Sioux Falls, but everybody pipes into it. As Sioux Falls continues to grow, as it certainly will, and our borders become the street demarcation line as 57th Street is between Minnehaha and Lincoln, their water treatment will come on in and there will be no differentiation. It will be cost effective for Sioux Falls because we'll have a centralized water waste treatment plant and it will be effective for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Clara?
I'm in favor of the way the city is growing. However, I would like the city planners to take into consideration to public access. And also, we currently have 20,000 people who are uninsured. We should be able to take care of those, and also public transportation should be in plans before any development is put in place.
Thank you. Clarence?
I will touch on the land development, I think is very important. And I think probably we might be getting ahead of ourselves in Sioux Falls. When you talk about the south area that we're dealing with, you see some of the problems that they're having with drainage oftentimes, the backup sewers and some other areas. And I think they have to be very careful with this when they go out there and do that. Sure, we want to grow, but other areas, we talked about the Pettigrew area. What are we going to do with that? We get ahead of ourselves. What are we going to do with the core downtown? I brought up the Argus Theater editorial board before about the railroad. Been involved with that. They got to move forward on some of those things. Get those rails removed so we can do something with the core area downtown. This has been going on and on and on. These are some things you have to backtrack a little bit and do it right, then move on. But the development has to go on there. We have to go with the zoning. And as a consequence, I would ask the right questions there. Where are we at with these? I want to go out and see what's going on and talk to the people. So some of these things should not happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
You know, only we can control our own destiny. We're responsible for what we do and how we grow in the city of Sioux Falls. And we can't count on anybody else to take care of that for us. It's just going to be us. And it is a case of economics. I think the planning department is doing an excellent job of planning where we're going to go in the future. They have to have a vision. I mean, they're looking out for your interests is what they're actually looking out for. They have a vision. But what's going to drive the development in this city is the economics. And we've seen it recently with the downturn that we have. Look what's happened to property values throughout the country, but look what's happened to the development in the city of Sioux Falls. Housing has gone down because there isn't a demand for it. But we do need to plan for the future. We are the heartbeat of South Dakota, whether you like it or not. People want to come to Sioux Falls. We got the best education system. We got the best job opportunity in the state of South Dakota, and people are going to come here. We need to plan. They're doing a good job. We just got to make sure that we have the vision to prepare ourselves for what's happening.
Thank you. The next question is on what is one way you would like City Hall to do business differently? We'll start with Rex.
One way to do business differently. That's an interesting question. I guess I would like to see the mayor become a little more aggressive and maybe be a lot more aggressive and be more of a cheerleader and take the focal point of the things that are happening here in Sioux Falls, the event center or the rec center or whatever it would be that we would go forward with, any number of things, jobs, when a company is coming into town, et cetera. I think the mayor needs to be a little bit more aggressive, shall I say, and taking the leadership position that the mayor was meant to be under this form of government.
Thank you, Charles.
Well, this is just my own personal pet peeve, but I would like to have more free parking around the city offices, so if you want to come to do business, you don't get a ticket sitting in a vacant lot next to this building that only has 4 cars in it. But I tell you, they've got a pretty aggressive meter maid out there that gets to make sure you pay your $5, and if you don't pay your $5 in 5 days, you get a $15 ticket, and if the ticket, your first one crosses in the mail, they send you a follow-on for $25. I know. So, and the other thing, it would be really nice if when you put your quarter in a meter in downtown, it actually goes to 15 minutes. Actually, it ought to go to 16 just so the city gives you a break, but I've had too many that go to 10 or 12. Now, I don't know if it's just that the needle doesn't come all the way up, but it leaves us with a perception that the city is trying to stiff the people. For a quarter, it's not a big deal, but it doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth of the citizens. So let's be a little more friendly.
Thank you. Clara?
I would like to see the mayor and everybody else to encourage ridership, public transportation, and I agree with Charles, the meter deal is really huge. But if we drove less and utilized the public system, I don't think we could have that problem.
Thank you. Clarence?
I think they're doing a great job, and I think over the years when we deal with the television and I think what the media has done to expose to the public what's actually taking place in City Hall, that has all changed. I would like to see also the night meetings and this facility is great. I would like to see more open discussion with the council and the mayor at times. I know they have a set format that they have, but I'm used to serving in Pier also where we have some real open discussion. When they say open up for discussion, you're not just voting on it, you don't want to disagree or agree on it, and then you read about it in the paper, they run to the media, and then they find out what happened. I think those things have to take place here. And you can't continue to table action. If you know what's on the agenda, take action on that. Take action on that. Have those people that are going to be here to testify. Case in point was the transportation for those physically impaired. That's been going on since January, and it's going to continue to go on. I've been attending some of those meetings. So that's one area that they can get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
One way the city can do business differently. Well, I think we're going to find out pretty soon because we're going to have a new mayor elected and we're going to have a whole bunch of new city council people. And I think that's the power of what our city government is because we can and we do have the opportunities to make some change as we go forward, but it's only as if we're all involved. You know, I think the mayor has done a pretty good job in promoting the city and getting out there and putting forth a vision. The department heads are enthusiastic and passionate about their jobs, and they seem to be doing a good job. I think the future for Sioux Falls is actually extremely bright, and I really want to be part of it, and I'm looking forward to being part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
There's a large section of Sioux Falls that either feels like city leadership listens and then disregards their input, or that the city leadership takes them for granted. And that's not right. And it goes back to communication and treating people with respect. As far as a specific thing that I would do, I would utilize this building. In the military, we call it a duty roster. You list all councilmen and the mayor, and on Saturday, from whatever time is selected, from 8 to noon, 10 to 2, that person is in this building taking public input and then responding to the questions that are asked. We need to do a better job at communicating with the citizens and really taking to heart and not only listening to their input, but hear what they're saying. I think that that's an area that we could really work on in this city, and it has the citizens, they buy in to what city government and city leadership is doing.
Thank you. Now, before our closing comments, I'd first of all like to extend our appreciation to our candidates who are participating in our civic process by running for city council. I would also like to remind everyone that the ballot will contain 3 amendments to the city charter. Amendment A is a change that clarifies that the mayor will determine the appropriate format of the annual budget submission to the city council, and the council will have the opportunity to ask questions regarding the budget. Amendment B is on the districting commission, and allows for representation from each of the 5 city council districts. This amendment also clarifies how a vacancy on the districting commission would be handled. Amendment C reduces the number of signatures that a person is required to obtain if they are running for city council in a district position. Sample ballots are posted on the website at www.siouxfalls.org, where you can review more information about the amendment changes. Also, before the closing comments, I would like to read a few of the questions that we didn't have time to get to today. What have you done to prepare yourself to be a member of the City Council? Name 3 policies that you would like to undertake to improve the city. Should Sioux Falls examine city services as we grow and perhaps take over garbage hauling? What property business holdings do you have besides your residence? What roles should the various committees have within the government? Mayor's advisors, city council advisors? What is the role of city council members in working with county commissioners and state legislators, local and statewide? One on gang problems, your role as an at-large representative. What do you plan to do in the first month on your term as city council member? What advice would you give to the new mayor? And one regarding running the different at-large A versus at-large B. So we will start our closing comments with Charles.
Thank you. I'd really like to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum. This has been, I believe, the most intellectually challenging forum that we have had, and certainly the most entertaining, and I think it will give the people out there in TV land a very good chance to see what their council candidates are really all about. I feel that I am qualified for this position. I started out as a military officer. I retired from the Air Force. I've opened my own businesses. I've created businesses. I grew them. I merged them with larger businesses. I know what it's like to sit there on Friday night and write your own paycheck. I also know what it's like to sit there on Friday night and put your paycheck in a drawer so that the paychecks for your employees don't bounce when they get to the bank. And there is a level of responsibility that having drawn a salary from somebody else all your life just is not there. I understand business. I understand financing. I'm a Dave Ramsey financial consultant, so if you understand Dave Ramsey, you'll understand how I'd be willing to spend your dollars. I look forward to your vote on April 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. Clara?
I believe I'm the right person to serve on the city council because I've lived in the city for 20 years and employed by the Sioux Falls School District. I've served on numerous civic boards and organizations. I believe I've demonstrated my leadership qualities in an effort to make Sioux Falls a better place to live and work. I believe this is the right time. The next 20 years, we will need to confront the maintenance and expansion of our city's infrastructure. New roads, sewer and water system, public facilities, parks and recreation areas, public transportation and affordable housing will be needed, and existing infrastructure will need to be updated and maintained. I believe I'm running for the right reasons. I feel I can bring a new voice to the City Hall, a voice of cooperation, civility, and common sense. Serving the community of the City Council is the only special interest I will represent. I appreciate your vote on April 13. Thank you.
Thank you. Clarence?
Yeah, and thank you for the League for having us here. Sioux Falls will be electing a new mayor and 4 new council people. I think it's important that we have some people that have some experience there so that they can hit the ground running there. There's a steep learning curve with government oftentimes. I taught government all my life. I served in the city council there in a municipality, and I served in the state legislature, and I have the skills for this. When you talk about budgeting, I served on Senate taxation. I have some insight on this. And secondly, Sioux Falls means a lot to me. I came here 40-some years ago, and my first job was with the street department. And 50,000 population, now we have 150,000 population. And the quality of life here is great. That's why many of us come back. And to a question that never got answered, I live in central Sioux Falls, and I own a lot, 100 by 150, and a home that's valued less than $200,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim?
I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters, and I'd like to thank you folks for coming out today and giving us your time to listen to what we have to say. I really believe that the citizens of Sioux Falls should feel very happy with the good people that are running for office here in the city of Sioux Falls, and the fact that they want to take their time to represent you and help to make decisions to ensure the strength of our city as we go forward. The only thing that upsets me the most right now is that with only a minute, I really haven't been able to speak very much on a lot of the different issues. If you know me, I can get passionate and I can speak for hours, and I get quite excited about the different things that I have to say. But with that passion I will bring to the city of Sioux Falls, I am passionate about my community. I want to ensure that we grow, that we have a good strength, that we have a great vision, and I want to be part of it. And I ask for your vote on April 13th.
Thank you. Michael?
And thank you for this opportunity. I want to draw some differences between my opponent and I. My opponent thinks that we need an event center at all costs. I, too, think that it would be nice to have an event center, but I think we should refer to the paid consultant that said we should build it for 12,000 seats. We should have corporate funding, private funding, and user fees to pay for it. My opponent said he held this up and he said he supports the task center event, the event center task force. I went and looked into it. I don't. It's not a representation of Sioux Falls. It's top-heavy with elected officials and business owners. Citizens and retired people only make up 38% of the folks that were on that board. My opponent wants to raise taxes. I think you know better how to spend your money than I. And then the one that really bugs me is that my opponent feels that senior citizens, college and high school students, and the working poor should have to pay an additional sales tax all year long so somebody from out of town can come in and get a subsidized concert ticket. I don't think that's right. I think that if you want to come to a concert in Sioux Falls, you need to be able to pay your own way for entertainment. The city can't afford another subsidy.
Thank you. Rex?
Thank you again for hosting this event. It's great to be here. It's been one of the best ones that we've been at. I'm a Sioux Falls person that lived here for 37 years. I've been part of the business community for that long. I'm an Augustana grad, which most of you don't know, or now you do if you didn't know before. I've had experience around this community, many different activities such as soccer, my church, the CVV Council. I'm chair of the CVV Council right now, and many of you know that I've spearheaded the Going Home statue that was just put up at the Veterans Memorial Park. The last thing I really want to say is that I love this city. I think it's a great place, as you can probably tell. And the last question I answered was not just aimed at the mayor. I think it was aimed at all the city council. We all have to be cheerleaders of Sioux Falls. Everyone, not only me, not only the council members who are going to be elected and the new mayor, everyone has to be, and that's what I want to be for not only me, but for everybody. Thank you.
I would like to thank our audience for joining us today, and for our organizers and volunteers through the League of Women Voters, the Sioux Falls Area Chamber of Commerce, and the City of Sioux Falls. Our next forum will be at 11 o'clock, where the Southern and Central District City Council candidates will be. Remind you that the election is April 13th, and you will also be voting for the position of mayor, as well as Sioux Falls School Board, and the 3 amendments to the city charter at that time. The mayoral forum we completed last week, and a school board forum will also be available, I believe it's April 1st. The forum may be viewed live on Channel 16 at 11 o'clock, and all of the forums will be available online at www.siouxfalls.org. The forums will be rebroadcast starting at 9 a.m. on Monday, March 29th, April 5th, and April 12th, and Fridays, April 2nd and April 9th, and Sunday, April 4th and 11th. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.